Hey, folks, I want to say thank you to the call. I am just excited about this young man. He came out with us last Wednesday, and I was happy enough to get him to kick us off the year. He said, Al Thomas, you got it. Just to recap a little bit about Wednesday, he said some great things. Let me tell you something he said that really blessed me. He talked about income reducing activities. I got a whole message behind that. I'm going to be teaching and preaching in the near future because that was powerful. He's been in network marketing 30 years. His first MLM was a company we were together in. He's the first platinum SVP in all of ACN. He set a goal, and this is another thing he got me. He said, I set a goal, talked to his wife. He said, after Halloween, I set a goal. Now, I said, why do we set goals way out? He said, I'm going to set a goal to get that next position. He asked his wife, what do you think? And he hit it. He said it in October. A month and a half later, he hit it. Not 5 years later, not 5 months later. He set a date and he said, what you need to do is have a goal and set a date and then go to work. He said this, and I quote, it's easier to build it fast than to build it slow. So why do we take so much time to get to the next position? He said, just make a date, go for it. Wow. All I want to say is this. I just want to shut up and just give the microphone to him. I want to thank my dear friend, Mr. Presley Swagerty, to come back on. I mean, can you guys admit this is historic? I mean, he's historic because the first position is Senior Vice President Platinum. He's done it in less than a few months after he set his mind to it. So without further ado, and he's got 30 years of network marketing history, can we give a warm welcome to Presley Swagerty? Let's go, sir. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Al Thomas. And, I'll say it again. Al has been one of my role models for a long time. And it is an honor to be on here with him. So I'm excited about that. And, I hear you saying all those nice things, Al, but here's what I think should give hope and encouragement to everybody. Yeah, SVP Platinum, and that's great. And Jeannie and I were very happy and honored to make it, but I don't feel like we've done anything special, Al. We just work. It's not, I'm not, I'll tell you right now, I mean, I got reasonable intelligence, but I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But I think it's all back to that. I got that burning desire in my butt to be somebody. And I think so many of us, we work and then we stop and then we get back after it again. And then we slow down and take a break and then we get going again. And, if I've done anything through the years that has really helped me to get there, it's just, I'm just always working. Now, granted, we all sometimes work harder than we do other times, but I have never just said, I'm taking a break for the next couple of months. I just don't do that. I stay steady. And again, sometimes I work harder. And I'll say this, when we came up with that goal and put a date on it for December 3rd, I worked harder than I had in a long time, Al. I think we all can learn, and I learned too. I mean, I certainly don't think I know it all. But I think we can learn that if we've got a goal and put a date on it and we're serious about it, we can all accomplish so much more than we think we can, guys. I'll tell you right now, we're all created in God's image. We all have greatness inside us. The good Lord puts that there, and it's just up to us to pull it out. And, we've got that devil on our shoulder telling us we can't do it, or that goal's too big, or, everybody in my family's been poor, so I guess I'm supposed to be poor. Well, baloney to all that, guys. We can do anything we set our mind to if we're willing to put out the effort. But I'll say it again, wherever you are in your ACN journey right now, we've got a big event coming March 10th, and the Elevate event. Everybody on this Zoom should be deciding they're going to be at the next leadership level by that date. I'm telling you right now that we got 2 months. Okay, it may be a big goal for you. I mean, it may look like it's next to impossible, but I tell you what, anything is possible if we'll get out there, because you don't know who you're going to sign up in the next couple of weeks. And my gosh, it could be an Al Thomas that explodes your business. I think I told you I signed up a guy named Mark Dean. Mark Dean was a used car salesman. Mark Dean does not look special. Mark Dean does not act special. And I mean, he's one of my dearest friends. I'd tell him all this stuff to his face. But I tell you what, inside, he had a burning desire like none other. And I certainly didn't know it when we got him involved. But Mark Dean has put in over 100,000 IBOs, that one leg, and that one leg has made me over $10 million. One guy. I mean, we just don't know what's out there, guys. But I'll say this, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And I'm going to say that's going to apply to each and every one of us, that if we're sitting our butt on the couch doing nothing, nothing's going to happen. But if we'll get our butt out there and start working and start going and start doing and start showing the plan, you watch what'll happen. Good things will start happening. I don't know. I guess that was my opening monologue, Al.
Hey, that's okay. You know, it gives somebody something to shoot for. Like my training did Saturday, I showed people how an RD and RCs can make 3 and 4 and 5,000. A lot of people don't believe it's possible because here again, they're not doing it. They're not, like you said, being studied with it. And then when I talk about I did over 8,000 IBOs a month, and people are like, huh, they can't fathom it. And then when you come on and stretch them a little bit more, talking about 100,000 IBOs in one leg and over 10 million, folks, these are real. Look, the reason why you're shocked is because, like he said, you know, you must have a burning desire. He said, I wrote this down. He said, you must have a burning desire to want to be someone. Do you guys really do that and then go to work, put your head down and go to work? See, these things are not strange to us. We know it's possible. We've done it. We're trying to encourage you that you can do it. Our first question for the day is this, sir. We got a question that came out. He says, what do you do with an IBO who's been stuck, or an IBO who has done anything and been active for the last 90 days or longer? What would you tell that person?
Well,
I already know the answer.
I'll start off by saying this. I don't give up on people, but I'll say this. You can run with 1,000 easier than you can drag one. And we've all been guilty of trying to drag people along. And, I've got people that have put it in neutral too. I mean, we all do. Don't get me wrong. That's just part of this business. And will I call them every once in a while and say, come on, let's go. We got a new promotion. Things are rocking. Let's get you going. I mean, I'll call them occasionally, but we need to be spending 80% of our time with the people that are working. And we tend to do it backwards. We tend to spend 80% of our time trying to convince people to run with us. Well, guys, spend 20% of your time with those folks, 80% of the time with the people that are producing for you. This business is all about production. So you got to spend time with the ones that are running. And we all fall into that trap. Don't get me wrong. I promise you, me and Al both have fallen into that trap where we're trying to beg people to come along. But it hits me every once in a while that, my gosh, I'm wasting my time. I could have signed up 3 people all the time I've been on the phone begging this guy to do something. I mean, or this gal. So again, my word of advice is we can run with 1,000 easier than we can drag one.
That's funny because that's so true. And that's a lot leading into the second question we had. You almost, it's the same in one. And the question was, how do you choose who to revisit? And who and work with? And you just already answered that. He said 80% of your time should be spent by people who are working. That is so true, guys. I mean, I love it. Now I'm going to move on to a question Mr. Brian Baker had asked. He says, someone who gets you sit down with them and you game plan with them and they don't hold up their part of the deal. What do you do?
Well, again, I don't give up on people, especially if they're new in the business, and I give them a game plan and we sit down and we agree to this game plan, and, they don't hold up their end of the bargain. Well, I've got lots of people on my team that didn't start off fast. Yeah. They stayed in the game, but they didn't start off fast. And, we all get disappointed because we want everybody to be the stud or the studette. But, I don't give up on people early on, because sometimes it takes people a little while to get the feel, to get the understandings, to start realizing that this doesn't take special ability. It just takes action. It takes them a while. So if somebody lets me down, I'll try to schedule another Zoom with them or call with them or in person with them. And I'll say, hey, come on, we didn't get this done this first time around. Come on, let's get back in. I mean, and I try to remind them what their why was. You told me you were doing this because you're worried about how you're going to pay for your kids' college. Is that still an issue with you? Is that still something you're worried about? It is? Okay, we've got the answer, but you've got to hold up your end of the bargain. And I tell people all the time, and I recommend this for everybody. Hey, guys, I'll run with you stride for stride. But if you set your butt on that couch, I'm not doing this for you. I'll do it
Mhm.
with you, but I'm not doing it for you. So I just, I remind them of their why. I go over what we need to get accomplished again. And then, some of them are going to do it and some of them aren't going to do it. And if they don't do it the second time, I may give them a third try if I really get the feeling. But then after that, it's kind of like I'm back to my first thing. I can run with 1,000 easier than I can drag one.
I love it. I love the answer. In other words, folks, find out what their goals are, what their hot button, why they're doing ACN, why they are doing ACN, and then
Yeah.
lean on that when they get to slowing down. So true. You said something last week that was really powerful. You said you do 6 Zooms a week privately, beside everything else he's got going on. Folks, question, how many of you guys think about how many Zooms you guys doing or on with your organization? That was a nugget last week. I'm just throwing that in as a freebie
Well,
because he was talking about what he does.
we do those. We do 6 scheduled Zooms, guys. I mean, that's just Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Saturday morning, Sunday night. Those happen each and every week. I mean, that's just a given. People can count on that because they know they can get people on the Zooms if they want to be on there. And I mean, Al knows Randy Hedge. It's me and Randy, and we do those. But I'd also do a bunch of Zooms in the middle there. If Al's on my team and he calls me up and he says, "Hey, Sally can't make it on the Zoom, but she'd really like to see a presentation," I go, "Great. Hey, let's do one at 2 o'clock. Does that work for her?" And I mean, I do a lot of this private Zooms for people, but we've got 6 scheduled Zooms, and then I do a bunch of private Zooms. And you say, "Man, that sounds like a lot of work." They're 30 minutes. Well, 6 times 30 minutes is 3 hours.
Yeah.
We say we work this business full time, but do you realize full time in this business is probably, if you're really getting after it, 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
Full time is kind of a misnomer because full time in this business, you can get, if you just devoted 5 hours a week and you were consistently doing 5 hours a week, I promise you, you can have some success. But
Mhm.
if you're not devoting any time to it, nothing's going to happen, guys. I mean, let's get real. Nothing is going to happen. You sitting around wanting it to happen doesn't mean jack. It's what are you going to get out there and do?
I love it. Like I did a Zoom last night. We had quite a few people, and the whole idea, people got to be consistent with it. Consistent. Like I've got 3 Zooms tonight set up. And I got one at 4, I got one at 6, I got one at 8. People don't. Here again, like he said, anytime. Anytime. But you got to make the game plan and be consistent. Don't one here hit it, miss, and then miss another one. You got to be on top of it. Real good. I love that. I loved also what he said last week that really got to me. It blessed me. He said he made a decision October 31st, Halloween night. He said he had to pop another RVP. Listen to this. This is good stuff. It took him, he had to pop one in 6 to 8 weeks. Now think about what he just said last week. I don't know if y'all guys caught that. He popped the RVP in 6 to 8 weeks. Who told you you had to take a year to? See, he had a made up mind and he got to work. And he said, I set the goal and the date. Watch this. Have any of you guys really set a goal and a date to get it done? Mr. Swagerty got on his today, and first thing he said to you, you should have it all. Your next position should be wrapped up by what? By the next convention. Do that. Wow. Now let's talk about this real quick. I got up there in the morning. I was showing some of my leaders. I got up at 2:13 Saturday morning, and I couldn't sleep because what you said on the 4th had disturbed my peace so much that God kind of woke me up a little bit. And I wrote a little. I'm going to be doing a little talk about this, but I love what you said about income reducing activities. Will you expound on that a little bit so people will understand what they need to cut out of their life? And in other words, what Greg Parmesan always told me, what do you really give up to go up? So talk about some of the income reducing activities that people do.
Well, here's my thought process, guys, and that is the average American watches 6 hours of TV / scrolls the internet a day. Let me say that again. The average American spends 6 hours a day either watching TV or scrolling Facebook or TikTok or something like that. Here's my thoughts on that, guys. I don't want to watch millionaires on TV having fun. I want to be a millionaire having fun. That was my goal. I mean, and I'm telling you, does making a lot of money solve all your problems? No. But I grew up dirt poor, guys, and I figured out being poor didn't solve all my problems either. It's a whole lot more fun with money than without money, and it does fix a lot of your problems, not all of them. But I'll say this, I call televisions, I call them time-wasting electronic income reducers. If you come in and you plop down in that easy chair and you're tired and you sit there and watch that boob tube until 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then you go to bed and you go to work and you come back in the chair and you plop down in your easy chair and you start watching TV again, guys, you're accomplishing nothing to make your dreams come true. You're making your boss's dreams come true, or the owner of the companies, because you're going to work every day. But here's my thing. If you feel like going to the job, JOB, which stands for just over broke, to work for your boss, which is really double SOB spelled backwards, guys, if you're doing that every day, then don't tell me you don't feel like coming home and doing something to make your dreams come true. See, my thing is, if I'm gonna watch somebody go and work 8, 10 hours and then come home and tell me they can't give me 30 minutes or an hour to make their own dreams come true, to change their life, it tells me that your vision isn't big enough. Because I'll say this, and guys, if you weren't on last week, I covered this last week, but I grew up in the ghettos, guys. I'm not embellishing. I grew up in the ghettos in a little 600 square foot house that was falling down. There were 2 murders and a rape within 7 houses. There were drugs everywhere. There was violence everywhere. It doesn't matter where we start, but we've got to have a goal to have a better ending. We can't go back and make a new beginning, but we can make a new ending. And I think sometimes in our minds, and I had to fight this, we think, well, grandma, grandpa, they were broke, and mom and dad's broke, so I guess I'm just supposed to be broke. That's just the way it is in our family. Baloney on that, guys. This still is America. We got a bunch of faults right now, but I'm telling you, it's still America. It's still the best country on earth. And it doesn't matter where we start, it's where we finish. But it's going to all boil down to you having a vision of what you can accomplish. And, Zig Ziglar would always say, go as far as you can see. And when you get there, you're going to be able to see further. When I started, Al, I thought, man, if I could make $1,000 a month, that was, my gosh, that was a game changer for this old basketball coach. But you know what? When we got it to 1,000 a month, I could see 3, and we got it to 3 a month, and I could see 5, and then 10, and then 20, and then by golly, 6 figures a month. Oh my gosh, that was out there. But now, guys, I want to get 2 commas in a check in a month. I mean, your vision can keep growing if you'll let it, but we can't let those negative, the best way to kill a big dream is to talk to small-minded people. And that's what we tend to do all the time. We got this big dream, and then we go to talk to our broke brother-in-law, and he says, that ain't gonna work. And we go, yeah, I guess you're right. Here's my thing on that. If I want to talk about a big dream, I'm going to talk to Al Thomas. I ain't going to talk to broke Uncle Harry. Guys, we've got to understand that. We've got to go to people that have what you want. If they've got what you want, then listen to their advice. If they don't have what you want, then don't listen to their advice. I'm telling you right now, I like to hang around with Al Thomas because Al Thomas is talking about big things and airplanes and Rolexes and cars and what he's doing to help people and giving to church and doing all this stuff. That's the guy I want to hang around because he's motivating me. And if I'm running around with broke Uncle Harry, he's just negative. And here's the crazy part, guys. If you're running with negative people, it's next to impossible for you to be positive. It just is. We got to get the negative people out of our life as much as we can, because I understand sometimes it's family and we can't get them totally out of our life, but we got to get them out of our life as much as we can and run with winners, because that stuff's going to start rubbing off on you guys. And all of a sudden you'll start realizing that Presley's not that special. Al's not that special. We just had a dream and a goal and we were willing to work. If you've got a dream and a goal and you're willing to work, I'm going to tell you right now, you can accomplish anything we've accomplished. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. There's so much, and let's get that was right on point. So many. I like what you said. 6 hours a day on the internet and TV. I crack up when I see people. Here I'm at my dog. Here I'm at my cat. Here's for some food. All this stuff that don't make us no money, and we thinking that we're recruiting. That's a great point. And I tell you what, I love that part about the income reducing activities and surfing the web, folks. Are you spending more than 30 minutes a day on there? Because I don't spend no time. I don't see the co-founders spending time. I don't see Mr. Swagerty on there. I don't see Mr. MD. I don't see none of these folks. But why are you guys doing it? He's just told you, get off of that crap. Excuse my French. But,
Well, I'll
you
say,
know,
Al, there's a lot of weeks that I literally won't turn my television on. Now, I'm a big Luka Doncic fan. I'm a big Dallas Mavericks fan, being a basketball coach. But, even with that'll be the only thing I'll watch. But even that, get this, I will record it. And then about 10, 11 o'clock at night, when it's too late for me to make any more calls or do anything like that, I will sit down and I'll watch my basketball game. But I fast forward through the commercials and I can watch the whole game in an hour. I'm not saying I never turn my television on, but I'll say this, it's very seldom. And it's usually, like I said, if I'm watching it, I'm watching a Maverick game, and it's usually recorded where I can zip through it real quick. But sure, we got to have a little quality of life. I'm not saying that, but if your habit is getting home from work, eating dinner, plopping in that chair and watching TV until you fall asleep, and then you finally get up and stumble to the bed, and then you do the same thing the next day and the next day, guys, nothing's going to change in your life. What's the definition of insanity? If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. Well, guys, we've got to understand, I promise you, Al Thomas paid a price to get where Al Thomas is. And you go, well, I don't know if I want to pay that price. Get this. I'm telling you right now, if he hadn't have done that, he would have paid a much bigger price to stay broke. Presley Swagerty paid the price to be where he is. But I'll say this, I would have paid a much higher price if I hadn't have done it and I'd have stayed broke. We're going to pay the price one way or the other. See, I was as willing to pay the price early on where I could have the rest of my life to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. Are you willing to do that? Or when you get a little older and a little older and a little older, is that when you're going to be paying the price? Because you're going to pay the price one way or the other. I'm challenging you now. Let's pay the price now. Let's put in a couple of years of everything we got, every minute we can squeeze out. Let's quit going to all these social things and playing softball and all that for a couple of years. And then by golly, you can play all the softball or go to all the bowling leagues or whatever you like to do for the rest of your life. But you got to
right.
price it. So you're going to pay the price either now or later. When are you going to pay the price? You didn't even ask me a question about that, Al, and I did that for you.
I love it, man. I love it. Being broke. Hey, listen, being broke ain't no joke.
No. I've been on both ends, brother, and I'm telling you,
sir.
It is a whole lot more fun having some money in your pocket. I'm telling you right now.
Yes, sir. You know what I love? I love that I'm free. And I tell people, what kind of price you put on freedom? I mean, I get up, I do whatever I want, when I want to do it, where I go, wherever I want. It's like you're free. And when people say they go free, I go, yeah, free. I'm free. I'm free. I could be anywhere, anytime. And I had a guy I said that the other day. He's like, wow, how's that work? I said, let me show you the business. It's amazing. Because most people
let me
never
throw
have
this in. I know we're wrapping
Yes,
up, but let me throw this in real quick. See if anybody can relate to this. Again, I grew up dirt poor and taught school. I used to go to a restaurant. I'd get the menu. That menu, I wouldn't look at what I wanted. I was looking at that right-hand side where it had the prices. And I would go down and find something cheap, and I would buy it because it was cheap. Not because that's what I wanted to eat. I never got an appetizer. I never got dessert. I drank water. I wouldn't even get coffee after the meal because my budget wouldn't allow for that. So I would go into that restaurant and figure out what's the cheapest thing on this menu that I can buy. One of my little pleasures in life now is when I go into a restaurant, I don't even look at the price, Al. And I'm not saying that bragging, guys. I'm just saying that I spent so much of my life doing what I had to do because I had no money, that it's just a pleasure to me now that I can go into a restaurant and I pick what I want off that menu. How many people can relate to that, guys? I mean, I spent most of my life doing it that way. It's time we get out of that, guys. It's time that we start going to a restaurant and not worrying if something costs $4 or $5 more than something else. We've just got to pay the price, though. Again, either you're going to pay the price now or you're going to continue to pay the price the rest of your life. I love going in a restaurant now, Al, because I get what I want to get. I mean, I know that sounds crazy and that's such a little thing, but to me, that's a big thing, Al.
No, that makes a lot of sense because I know a lot of folks. That's what they do. I've been out with people when they said, "No, sorry, I just ate," and their stomach goes, knowing good and well they all gonna have is water, and I know they couldn't afford it. I said, "I got you. Don't worry about it."
Yeah,
but I love that.
Roxanne just said, "Yeah, add the avocado." Roxanne, I add
Yeah,
the avocado if I want the avocado. I don't think about it. How's that?
yeah. Or what do they say when you go to a restaurant? Hey, that's gonna be an upcharge. You're like, don't worry about
Oh, yeah.
it.
Yeah, I don't care if there's an upcharge. My gosh, you know.
Yeah, give us one other good story to close this out because we just enjoyed it. And I'm sure everybody here have got something out of today's call and last Wednesday's call as well. Give us one other good story to close us out to take us home in a and it don't have to be a feel good story. It could be just a reality check because you always
Oh,
do that real
well,
well.
you know, I will tell y'all I've done this at a big event a time or two, but I'll finish with this story. I got a cousin named Manny Carter. Manny's, you know, I got a huge extended family. I'm an only child, but my mom was one of seven, and I got cousins and cousins and cousins, and you know, I mean, it's just I don't even know all their names now because they have cousins who have more cousins. But I got one cousin. I mean, out of this huge extended family, I got one cousin that really made something out of himself. That tells you a little bit about my family, just a bunch of rednecks. I mean, I love them. They're my rednecks, but they're just a bunch of rednecks. But Manny actually made something out of himself. I used to love to hang out with Manny. So, especially during the holidays, I would go over to Manny's house and because my gosh, Manny made a few $1,000,000. He lived in this beautiful home. He always had new cars in the driveway. And I'm living at 8724 Dunlap Drive where people are getting raped and murdered. This is when I was a young guy. Um, so I remember this one Christmas like it was yesterday. I went over to Manny's house and I'm sitting there at Manny's house and I'd hang out as long as I could. I learned though that when they started putting the pajamas on, it was time for me to leave. So I'd sit there all day and the house was decorated and they had lots of food and presents. And man, I just loved being at Manny's house. And they start putting the PJs on. So I hug everybody goodbye and I start walking down to my car, Al. And I'm not going to go into the whole story, but it was a 1962 Ford Galaxy. It was a boat, an ugly boat, and it had like 100,000 miles on it. And get this, Al, I glued blue shag carpet to the dash because the dash was cracked up. I put people won't even know what an 8-track player is, but I put an 8-track cassette player under the seat. And Creedence Clearwater Revival was my group, man. I loved
I
Creedence.
love that group.
So I would be driving down the road, Creedence would be blaring, and that shag carpet would be giving it this with the wind blowing. But anyway, that had nothing to do with my story. But that was my car. I'm not embellishing. That was my car. But this one night, Al, I come down from Manny's house, and I'm like 17 years old. I'm just a kid, and I'm in that car, and I'm hanging on to the steering wheel, and man, my mind is racing because I'm fixing to go back to 8724 Dunlap Drive where people are getting raped and murdered, literally. I am squeezing that steering wheel to death, and my mind is racing, and it hit me all of a sudden. I remember turning back and looking up at Manny's house and pointing, and I said, I want to be like Manny. Manny's who I want to be like. I didn't know what a role model was, Al. Manny was a cousin. He didn't even know I was watching him. But I am on this Zoom today with a legend like Al Thomas because of because of a cousin named Manny Carter. And he showed me that somebody with our name could do something special. And you say, well, why are you telling us this sad story about your cousin and all that? Well, here's the deal, guys. You've got kids and grandkids that are watching you. You've also got nieces, nephews, cousins, and friends that are watching you. What are you showing them? See, I learned a long time ago, you can make excuses or you can make money, but you can't make both. Guys, I made excuses for most of my life. Hey, I'm from the wrong side of the tracks. I don't have any money. You know, nobody in my family's mounted to anything. I was making those excuses too. But I finally came to the realization that we can all change our lives. Guys, let's draw a line in the sand. Let's stand in the gap for our family. Let's show the people with our last name that we can do something special. Let's make 2023 the year that changes us, guys. Let's look back on this Zoom with Al Thomas on this thing, and let's make that decision that we're going to change everything in our life right now. Because I'm telling you, I'll say it one more time: we're all created in God's image. We all have greatness inside us. Let's make it happen. Well, Al, it's always a pleasure, and I'm going to tell you guys one more time: this guy has been one of my role models for years. I love Al Thomas. I have copied a lot of stuff Al's done. You are blessed to be in this man's organization. And I don't say that lightly, and I'm not just saying it because he's on here. He is a legend in our profession, guys, a legend. And Al, love you, brother.